Today on Investigate TV Plus, a reading revival. In one school district, a cell phone ban dialed up a surprising benefit.
It was the best decision that was ever made.
We check out a surge in book borrowing, examine the potential link to device restrictions, plus hear what students think.
People need to read books more because books, they're definitely going to tell a better story than what you're going to find on your phones.
Then America is aging, but most people aren't prepared for the challenges that come with it.
People in general don't think about aging services and aging.
We take an in-depth look at the price of elder care and provide solutions to help you plan ahead.
And a new type of support is brewing in a place known for lattes and espresso.
Why not a coffee shop? That's like the perfect place.
We show you how this business serves up comfort, connections, and hope.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
As more school districts across the country ban students from using cell phones, an unexpected upside may be emerging from the digital detox, a reading revival in states like Oregon and Kentucky. I'm Lee Zurich.
And Dante Chappelle. With new screen time restrictions in place, some librarians report students are checking out a record number of books. At one school, a tenfold increase from the previous year. And educators we spoke with say they don't think it's a coincidence.
Now the question remains, does unplugged really mean more engaged? Reporter Heather Graff is in Louisville to find out.
Bye, Gabby. Teachers haven't assigned more reading. And librarians haven't changed the curriculum.
I really love these two books right now.
But at Pleasure Ridge Park High School in Kentucky,
I find myself reading a lot more than what I used to.
There's new life in the library.
There's kind of like a buzz in the air.
Since the start of the school year, in the fall of 2025, librarian Erin Reed says books have been flying off the shelves.
We've checked out 4,200 books in the first 3 months of school, which is twice what we checked out last year for the whole year.
That's a big increase.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It just so happens that's also when a district-wide cell phone ban took effect.
It was the best decision that was ever made.
The goal: fewer distractions and more learning, says Jefferson County Public Schools Superintendent Brian Yearwood.
What I've seen happening now is because of the cell phone ban, full engagement. Students are now attentive, students are now participating in activities, group activities, students are now interacting in the classroom environment.
And according to Reed, it's contributing to an increase in book borrowing.
Do you directly tie the cell phone ban to this increase in library book checkouts?
I do, absolutely.
But she says students don't just have their noses buried between pages.
Everybody's much more social. They're sitting together now instead of apart. They're discussing the books that they're reading. It's been really wonderful.
I love talking about books. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
While the state of Kentucky prohibits devices during instructional time, the ban enforced by Jefferson County Public Schools goes a step further. It's bell to bell, meaning phones need to be off and put away during school hours. Students have the option of using these locked pouches to help keep them out of sight and out of mind until the end of the day. But not all Gen Zers are excited about handing over their phones.
I was very angry, especially because this was my last year of school. So I was like, oh, it's going to be such a long year.
Senior Noah Berry says he used to check his phone dozens of times a day at school.
How was your relationship with your cell phone during the school day?
I was connected to it the entire day. Probably barely took my eyes off of it, if I'm being honest.
But now,
I've started reading a lot more books than usual. Actually, my entire time at being at the school, I've never checked out a single book until this year.
and it's a habit many of his peers are starting to pick up too.
Without the cell phones, they're losing themselves in books. And what a better way to go.
How can you connect those two things together?
Point of change, because you didn't have a couple hundred kids wake up one day and go, oh, let's all check out books in the library.
Experts like psychotherapist Tom Kirsting agree.
As far as I'm concerned, what else could it be from? It has to be from them not having access to the phone.
Kirsting has been an outspoken advocate for banning cell phones in schools.
It's an addiction. That's literally what it is. It's an addiction. It affects their executive functions. It reduces social interaction big time.
More than 30 states, including Kentucky, now have some kind of restriction on student use of the devices in schools.
It's really been more of a parental problem because the phone has sort of become the umbilical cord between parent and child.
These communications devices can be critically important to keep kids safe.
National Parents Union President Carrie Rodriguez is a mother of 5. She says kids should have access to their phones during the school day.
Some of the excuses that we hear that if you're nervous, if you're scared, if you need to get a hold of your kid or your kid needs to get a hold of you, just call the school secretary. Those are not solutions that work in a modern context with the violent culture, unfortunately, that we have to deal with in our current society.
Students like Noah say they can't help but think about those worst-case scenarios.
There's always this big fear of lockdowns and all that stuff, and I still think that's a big concern that needs to be addressed.
But there's another issue, says Merv Lapus of Common Sense Media.
We know that technology is here to stay. We know that technology is continuing to innovate and innovate fast.
Whether we like it or not, these devices are a big part of society today, and healthy tech habits are important.
I think the bans are the direction that we need to really consider, putting policies in place to recognize when technology is appropriate or not appropriate. But if we end it there and don't get to the root of what we are deeming appropriate and the impact in the full lives of our kids, then are we really building them up to be prepared in a world that is digital?
Yearwood says district leadership will closely monitor how the cell phone ban is impacting their students long term. Library trends are just one indicator.
Are there any other ways that you hope to measure the success of a cell phone ban?
By seeing increased graduation rates, by seeing us close the achievement gap that does exist.
Meanwhile, students at Pleasure Ridge Park say they're going to keep embracing books.
What would you say to the skeptics who are like, no way, I can't give up my phone?
It's not as bad as you think it is. People need to read books more because books, they're definitely going to tell a better story than what you're going to find on your phones.
A reminder that sometimes the simplest tools can have a big impact.
It's not just in Kentucky. In the first few months of the 2025-26 school year, Portland Public Schools in Oregon saw a 15% increase in book checkouts compared to the same period the previous year.
So while it may be too early to call this a trend, some educators see it as a promising indicator that disconnecting from devices can help kids get back to the books.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Get kids off those devices. Too much time on there as it is.
When my daughter's not on her devices, she's doing crafts and going outside and doing more fun things.
Talking to people.
Talking to people.
That's always good too. From screens to canvas, an artist brings history to life for a new generation. Still ahead, the American Revolution? Well, there's an app for that.
But first, as a loved one gets older and their health declines, many families are unprepared for the expense and complex process of getting specialized assistance.
Probably need to, be making that care plan and maybe a plan A and a plan B.
We take an in-depth look at the cost of aging and provide insight into what Medicare and Medicaid will not pay for when you're older.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes.
In 2026, the oldest members of a generation that once said, "Don't trust anyone over 30, celebrate their 80th birthday.
Born between 1946 and 1964, there are nearly 76 million baby boomers in the United States. And while getting older can bring wisdom and perspective, living longer also delivers a dual burden of rising housing and healthcare costs that threaten financial security. In fact, research by the Insured Retirement Institute found 42% of boomers have no retirement savings.
Another major public policy concern is the potential burden an aging society will place on the caregiving system and public finances.
Reporter Liz Reyes examines the price of aging and why having a plan matters.
With Cozumel on the cruise, the four of us.
Did you have some pina colada?
Absolutely.
This is 81-year-old Jack Wilt, enjoying his retirement, busy with family and friends.
This is Megan, yours truly, Sarah.
And of course, the Saints and LSU.
Go Tigers, go! Yeah, yeah.
But like many seniors, as Wilt got older, his two daughters noticed things changing and their roles reversing. They started worrying about him living alone.
He did not take his medicine. He looked unkept at times. And I became more and more concerned about him being by himself.
They joined millions of Americans caring for aging parents while juggling jobs and kids, often without a plan.
So my sister and I broached the subject with him that, we need to consider some other housing options.
He's now thriving at his own apartment. Meals, housekeeping, and 24/7 help give his daughters peace of mind while he keeps his independence.
I've asked him to go check his blood pressure before. They bring him to his medical appointments Monday through Thursday.
So this here is a one-bedroom apartment. It could be independent living or assisted.
Michelle Wallace-Gross says many residents need Alzheimer's or dementia care.
There's been more of a demand for memory care than anything. And I didn't realize just how much, there's so many people that are affected by that.
And that demand is expected to grow. By 2030, the U.S. Census projects Americans 65 and older will outnumber those under 18 for the first time ever. According to the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, nearly 70% of Americans aged 65 and older will need some form of long-term care during their lifetime. It also says many will find it difficult to pay for this type of care.
People in general don't think about aging services and aging.
Howard Rogers with the New Orleans Council of Aging sees it every day and says having a plan is vital, especially if a medical emergency strikes.
So now you had a stroke and you were walking and talking, but now you're confined to a wheelchair.
Advocates for seniors like Andrew Mull say many people also misunderstand what Medicare covers.
I think a lot of times people assume Medicare will be the safety net that will allow their loved one to be cared for, but Medicare is a very short-term program.
Medicare for people 65 or older may cover doctor visits, hospital stays, and up to 100 days of rehab, but it does not cover assisted living or long-term care.
Savings accounts can be drained really quickly when you're spending it on long-term care. What most often happens is you find yourself looking at Medicaid as your safety net.
But to qualify for Medicaid, you must meet low-income requirements. Medicaid does not pay for assisted living, but it does cover some personal care there. It can also cover nursing homes, but there are waiting lists for in-home care.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here they come. They're coming.
For Wilt and his daughters, they learned
it can be costly.
They urge families to prepare early.
Probably need to, be making that care plan and maybe a plan A and a plan B.
Thankfully, their plan worked, and their dad is happy with round-the-clock support.
Saints going to the Super Bowl, is that going to happen?
Yeah. I'd be happy. Yeah, I'll put it up and invite you back if we get to the Super Bowl again.
Okay.
While still cheering on his favorite teams.
Pew Research asked adults over the age of 65 what advice they would have for young people to prepare them for getting older.
37% mentioned habits like saving money, investing, and living frugally. Only health-related advice was more common.
Still ahead, percolating positivity. A coffee shop does more than serve hot cups of joe. It provides packets of comfort. We reveal the inspiration behind positive packs and show you how they support teens.
But first, it's a revolutionary way to place pivotal moments in history in the palm of your hands. We introduce you to an artist using brushstrokes and technology to teach the American Revolution for generations to come. 1776 was not only the year the 13 colonies declared their independence from Great Britain, but it's also the year the war came to South Carolina's doorstep.
Now historians are highlighting the Palmetto State's role in the American Revolution by bringing it straight to your fingertips. It's called the Liberty Trail app, and it's helping people learn more about the war, the people, and places by swiping some of those lesser-known facts out of obscurity.
Reporter Myra Ruiz introduces us to an artist who's helping them fill in the blanks.
When it comes to recalling the American Revolution, you can count on Dale Watson to keep his tales colorful.
He was considered a giant. He towered over everybody else.
Watson's work caught the attention of the South Carolina Battleground Preservation Trust and the American Battlefield Trust. They commissioned him to recreate scenes from the Revolutionary War.
They had come up with an idea to do an app called the Liberty Trail app. And we took off from there. So it has been fun. A lot of the characters from that time, especially with my portraits, there were no images of them. And so I will find out kind of where they came from in Europe or wherever.
Watson refers to first-hand accounts, other records, and conversations with historians to bring these battles into view.
We'll all kind of back and forth about, hey, how would the scene look good? How can we best show it? Then I'll start out with thumbnail sketches. I'll send those off to the guys. They can look at them, say, yeah, we like this, we don't like that. And so from there, I'll refine my thumbnail sketch. And once everybody's happy with that, then I start my painting process.
This is the Battle of Cowpens, right after American forces repositioned themselves.
They were just withdrawing, they weren't retreating. The Highlanders saw that and charged without any discipline, just wide open. And the Americans abruptly turned and fired right into them at close range. And so in that painting, I'm showing that moment as the Americans turned and fired.
Watson visited the site of the Battle of Blackstocks in Lawrence County before capturing key moments. Here's Bannister Tarleton.
He rode out when he saw Major Money had been wounded, and rode out onto the battlefield and helped him onto his horse and then rode back off the battlefield with him.
And this is Brigadier General Thomas Sumter toward the end of the battle.
And that image is showing kind of the moment that he gets hit.
This shows what happened at Fort Thickety near Gaffney to prevent bloodshed.
The Americans had what was called a Quaker cannon,
aimed at Loyalist forces who were behind a stockade.
It was just a log on two wheels, but it was far enough away that they couldn't tell. And so when they saw that and they saw the number of Americans, they gave up the fort without a battle.
Watson's path to the Liberty Trail began as a child, growing up as a pastor's son in the upstate.
Literally as long as I can remember, I've been drawing, and painting. When I was a real little kid, it was cowboys and Indians, horses.
After high school, he joined the Army and served as a paratrooper. Then at school, he refined his art skills, leading him to an architectural firm. And that's when he realized his talent was extra special.
My ability to kind of see things in 3D, kind of perspective kind of comes easy to me.
And now his perspective will help teach history for generations to come.
I am humbled and honored by that idea.
And as the Liberty Trail app expands beyond South Carolina, Watson will be there to bring life to other battles.
And it's tremendously exciting to just be part of that.
Watson began on illustrations for the Liberty Trail in 2021.
You can check out some of his creations on the website, thelibertytrail.org.
Up next, Coffee Talk.
We don't just pour coffee, we pour love as well. So it's important to love our community.
We check out a shop serving Java and packets of positivity. The teen years can be an exciting time, but it comes with a whirlwind of body changes and emotional highs and lows.
In Michigan, a woman has found a way to help adolescents navigate their new challenges. Reporter David Andrews shows us how she's inspiring optimism.
When Jenny Metzmaker walks into the Big B coffee shop in Hazlet, leaving with a cup of joe takes a back seat.
Hi Jenny, how are you?
To leaving behind a counter full of positive packs. Jenny calls them coping kits for teens.
It has a journal writing activities. It's got breathing activity, all of that.
Plus, they contain important advice about nutrition, hydration, and sleep.
I think they liked the sleeping and eating habits the most.
Store manager Mara Duncan.
So, as a business, why is it important for you to be involved with this effort?
Here at Big B, we don't just pour coffee, we pour love as well. So it's important to love our community.
Mara's really great in the Hazlet community. Bringing awareness was really important to her.
Raising awareness about teen mental health and offering some positive support.
So the journal and the positive pack is a good way to get your feelings out onto paper instead of keeping things bottled up inside.
Duncan first learned of the positive packs from her little sister who goes to Hazlet High School. It's just one of the many Mid-Michigan schools benefiting from Metzmaker's mission. Over the past 5 years, Metzmaker has donated thousands of positive packs and teaches students mental health coping skills.
So we go into schools and we do journal writing activities, we do breathing activities.
Because her positive somebody message has been so successful in schools, Metzmaker brewed a plan to now get businesses on board.
Actually, why not a coffee shop? That's like the perfect place.
We have a lot of the middle schoolers come in after school with all their friends.
So that's how we're going to reach more people, is by partnering with businesses and community members.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm T. Chappelle. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, it's a popular home product, engineered stone countertops marketed as better than granite or marble.
But our investigation found some workers cutting the stone are getting seriously sick.
And then now, looking back, cancer would have been a better outcome.
We examine the incurable condition affecting workers across the U.S. and the effort to ban engineered stone.